Hello. Good morning.
Hi everyone, this is Marilia,
I'm Jocelyn here.
and we're starting another live.
Another live. Another month has gone by. I can't believe it.
Yes, questions and answers.
Yep.
What's the topic for today?
We have a couple topics. It's kind of a diverse group of questions. There's some stuff I think about anxiety, about some unhelpful thinking patterns like negativity and how to break out of it, and then a couple things I think about self-compassion too, which will be kind of nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And before we start,
Yeah.
should we maybe talk about some admin stuff?
Yes.
And what's going on at Family Enrichment?
Some housekeeping, yeah. So we have an exciting event coming up. We're going to be posting more about it in the coming weeks and months. It may be hard to see, but we have our poster here for our golf tournament fundraiser. It's coming up in end of August, August 20th. It's going to be at the Mactaquac Golf Course, really lovely spot. So we're going to be raising some money for family enrichment so that we can continue to provide low-cost sliding scale counseling for those who need the support. It really enables us to do what we do and to keep serving members of the community.
Yes, and how can people find more information about it?
Yeah, so there's on our website, familyenrichment.ca, if you do /upcoming events, I'll put a link after this on our Facebook page and on our Instagram. To connect, you can log on and sign up. You can also give a call to our head office here.
And the cool thing about this is that you can join as an individual, or you can join as a group.
Right.
A group of 4. It's going to be, the tournament will be a scramble, so people who play golf on the regular, they know exactly what that means.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant, but I think the golfers among us will know, oh, a scramble, okay, should be fun.
Yes.
Yes.
And it sounds like a really fun way to play.
What if you're not a golfer? How can you come? Can you participate?
You can participate. You can come for dinner.
Okay.
You can come and join us for a fun day. You don't have to play golf. You can come and just participate in other activities that we'll have there.
Yep.
We'll have more information on our website.
Absolutely.
And just come for a fun day.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. We're hoping for great weather, and yeah, it should be a good day for a good cause, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So maybe now we can start.
Let's jump in
with the first question. So someone here sent us a question. They say, sometimes I think I'm being too negative. How can I tell if that's true, and how can I change that?
Right.
Okay.
So this is a big question.
It is a big question.
Yeah.
So being too negative, what would that mean? Hard to tell.
It depends what they mean. I would take it to mean probably, seeing the bad in things, seeing the worst case scenario. This is what I hear a lot, and when I've experienced it too, I think it's kind of having a hard time seeing the good in things and really just seeing what could go wrong or what will go wrong.
And I'm thinking, what could be some signs that would tell people, like, am I being a little bit too negative? And I'm thinking, what we hear a lot is the all or nothing thinking, right? It's a very unproductive thought pattern,
right?
Because it's a way to see a situation in absolutes with no room for a middle ground, right? So what would be an example of this would be, for example, you need to do something and you say to yourself, if I don't get this right, it's because I'm a complete failure.
Right. So it's really extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that helpful?
Right. And it's not really realistic, right? It can be that you have a good day and one bad thing happens, and that's just, you miss the bus, or, a bird poops on you or something, and it's not the end of the world. But it can sometimes, if you're in that thought pattern, it can think one, even a little bit negative thing in your day can kind of dictate that everything's a mess. Or if you make a mistake, it's like, oh, I'm a failure, I'm no good, and kind of, I guess, make it bigger than it is, right?
Yes, yes. And I think that's also very connected to overgeneralizing. That is very similar to all or nothing thinking, because it's also a negative thought pattern that takes a situation to the extreme, right? So, but the difference is that all or nothing pertains to one specific situation.
Okay.
While overgeneralizing turns into a pattern.
Okay.
So it's the idea of thinking of, I completely screwed up that last presentation, so I'm definitely going to mess up the next one.
Oh yeah.
So it becomes that pattern. It becomes who you are.
Right.
When
You read into it, right? And think like, if this happened once, it will always happen again.
always happen because of who I am.
Mm.
And
That's such a heavy way of thinking, right? Really hard on ourselves.
And I would imagine it would make it hard to make a change, because if you believe that this is who you are and this is how it's going to be forever, how are you going to find the motivation and the energy, and the positivity to think, well, maybe I'm not like that. Maybe it's just something that happened. Maybe I can do things differently.
Right.
Or maybe it was something, an external factor that was influencing how I was acting at that time.
Yeah.
So it would make it harder to see these.
Yeah, I think so too. And it also, I wonder if it contributes to looking for things as signs that it's not going well, to make that belief come true. Like if if your computer dies while you're working on a project, you're like, oh, classic, right? Like maybe feeling like it really, little things can kind of play into that belief as well.
Yeah, that's a very good one, Jocelyn. And I'm thinking also, for people who might be struggling with self confidence, another thing that might happen is the disqualifying the positive. So not only you might be only seeing more of just the negative and those negative patterns, but also when something positive happens, you can't even identify that, or you just disqualify it. So, for example, you worked really hard today and you did something really amazing, you're working on something really nice, and then your boss comes and tells you, great job, what you did was really amazing, gives you those compliments, and you minimize it. Oh, that was nothing.
Right.
Like, oh, just brush it aside instead of just saying thank you.
Right.
It's even hard when you're in the negative pattern. It's even hard to just accept a compliment.
Yeah. Or to see it for what it is. I've heard this from some folks too who will, especially teenagers or people in school, they'll get all A's or B's on their report card, and they'll get like one C or one B, one mark that's a bit lower than the rest, and they'll be like, oh, this was not a good report card, this was terrible, and they can really um, place emphasis on the one maybe less positive thing and disqualify the good things and not say, okay, well, you got 8 A's and 1 B, but the focus goes to the B.
The focus goes to the one thing that's not as good as the other ones.
Right.
And that somehow becomes the whole
story.
Yeah. And all of it becomes negative. And another example is someone tells you, oh, you did this so well, you're so good at this, thank you so much. And your response would be, oh, anyone else could have done it. So it's just
right.
Always dismissing that positivity. Yeah, so something to keep in mind when you think, am I being too negative? How hard it is for you to recognize your efforts and your accomplishments, and even welcome those comments from other people that are complimenting you or recognizing your efforts.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because if you don't believe that about yourself, it's hard to hear from other people.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Right? If you think you didn't do a good job, or you have a low self-esteem about your ability to do something right, if someone says, that was awesome, it can sometimes feel like they're lying to you, or kind of like messing with you. You're like, what do you mean I didn't, it doesn't feel like you really did a good job.
It's almost like it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be if you don't believe that you deserve what they're saying. Yes, it would be. I think it's hard.
Yeah.
And another point is the emotional reasoning. So to put it in a very simple way, emotional reasoning is when you feel something, and then because you're feeling it, you think it must be true. So for example, this unproductive thought pattern is, I feel inadequate, so therefore I must be inadequate. I feel unprepared for this meeting, I must be unprepared. In general, that feeling becomes a fact. And how can that affect you? Our emotions are not always accurate representations of who we are or what's happening.
Right.
And when you focus on just your emotions, if it's in a negative pattern, it can be, it changes the lenses that you're using to see the world.
Right.
And then it could be hard to identify, like, is this how I'm feeling or is this who I am?
Right. I think a helpful way, and maybe we'll get to this when we talk about what to do about it, but a helpful thing that I found is to rephrase the way that we're talking about ourselves in those moments, to not say like, I am anxious, but rather to say, like, I'm feeling anxious right now. And to separate, because you're not your feelings. They're there and they're valid and they're there for a reason, and sometimes they represent the situation accurately and sometimes they don't. But just to phrase the language differently, that, it's not that I am sad, like my whole person. Oh, it's like I'm feeling sad, and that's a part of the experience.
It's a momentary situation.
Yeah, and it's a feeling, and many feelings can exist at once.
Yes, and another thing that we can use for when you're feeling like this, you could even set a timer to sit with your feelings. And really just take the time to think, what is it that I'm feeling? Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
It might make it easier for you to understand that these are your feelings and not who you are or what's the facts.
Like
right?
a bigger message, yeah.
Yes, or maybe even journaling, having a worry journal. When you put your worries, but always make sure to put the positive as well.
Yep.
But just so you can remove that from your mind and have it somewhere else and have the time to deal with it, and then that's it. And another one is if you're giving yourself a lot of should statements, that can be a sign that you're in a negative pattern, because it should statements, they center around the expectations we place on ourselves. So, for example, I should be better at this by now. I should know how to do this by now.
Right.
This, it's not, it doesn't validate your feelings.
Yeah.
And it's related to competence, because competence is about believing you can do something. And managing should statements is all about giving yourself grace. So, encouraging thinking about where the expectations we're placing on ourselves come from. Are they coming from your boss? Are they coming from your partner? We need to ourselves, I should be good at this by now. Who's telling you that?
Right.
Is that you? Is it a parent? What are the expectations and whose expectations are those?
Right.
So it's an unproductive thought pattern, and it's bound to creep up. So if you are stuck with that, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
And with some practice, you can do the exact opposite with the positivity.
Yep.
And then we're going to talk about some ways to maybe change a little bit of that thought pattern, some self-care,
Yep.
positivity. And so these 5 examples that we talked about here are things for you to think about. Whoever the person that submitted the question, are you into one of those?
Does that resonate? Yeah. Are you thinking, oh yeah, I really do find myself saying this to myself, or feeling like one bad thing dictates the day, or making these big statements. A lot of negativity, I find, is sort of these really grand statements about things, right? Like you said, overgeneralizing what we're feeling. Like there's an atmosphere, kind of like Eeyore with the cloud, just like everything around is hard.
Or telling like the should statements. Right. I should be doing this. I should be good at that. Why should you?
Yeah. Who says?
Who says? Is that you who are setting yourself a goal? If you're setting yourself a goal, awesome.
Yeah.
But you should not.
Right.
You could.
Right.
Right.
And one strategy that can be helpful for this is thinking, what would you say to a friend in the same situation? So if your friend was trying a yoga class for the first time and they said, oh, I should be able to do these poses perfectly, you would say, well, no, it's your first class, you're trying it, everyone goes at their own pace. Like, usually it's easier to have compassion and positivity for other people. Usually we don't hold them to the same standard that we hold ourselves to, which is usually unrealistic or can be. So with all of these, thinking about that, if your friend got all A's on their report card and 1B and they were feeling down on themselves, most likely you would say, well, I mean, come on, look at all this great stuff. You worked so hard, and, you can usually find the positive for others. And so you can imagine how a friend might speak to you, or how you would speak to a friend in the same scenario.
So practicing a little bit of self-compassion, maybe.
Definitely.
Yes.
I think so. And sometimes it takes externalizing it a little bit to think of someone you care about or somebody else to model what that would look like for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. And I'm thinking, because I have some cards here,
yeah.
and I think that this could be a good one because it's about friendship, and we're talking about friends. What would you offer a friend at the end of a hard day that you can offer yourself now?
Mm.
And it's the same what you said about the report card. And
Yeah.
the friend is upset because they got 1B, and they're like, I can offer you this confession. Look at this. Look at the good side of it. You're doing so well, and you give them compliments and you validate them. Can you do this for
For
yourself?
yourself. Yeah.
So maybe just something to think about. How do you, how well do you offer compassion to others? We're usually good at it
Much better at it. Yeah.
in comparison to of your self compassion.
That's right. What a powerful thing. And to imagine being your own friend. You know, it sounds a little cheesy, but it really is so important, right? To think of yourself as an important person in your own life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah, I think so.
Can I read the second one then?
Yes, yes, let's do it.
This one asks, how can I tell if my mental health is okay?
I think by virtue of asking the question, it's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're I mean, we can talk about the answer, but I think if you're wondering if something's going on, maybe it is. Like, not necessarily maybe it is, but it's something to think about. If it's coming to mind, it's maybe for a reason.
If it's something that keeps coming to mind, yes.
I think so.
It may be worth investigating it a little bit.
For sure.
And how can you investigate this a little bit, you with yourself? So,
yes.
One thing that you can do every morning, for example, you can ask yourself, how am I feeling today, mentally and physically? Because I know we talk here about mental health. Physical health is also very connected with mental health.
Of course.
So I'm sure most people know, but when we're dealing with a mental health challenge like depression, trauma, and anxiety, it affects you mentally, but you can feel it in your body. So it manifests in ways, for example, like headaches, stomach aches, dizziness, and other things. So you can be stressed without necessarily knowing it. So check for both mental and physical factors before moving about your day.
Yeah.
Right, and when you wake up, like do like a check in, with your body. Am I in pain? Am I feeling comfortable? Am I
Right.
What's my energy level? Did I sleep well?
Right. Did I sleep in a weird position? Am I hungry, thirsty, like dehydrated even?
How is my level of mental energy for the day? Am I excited to get out of bed, get ready for work or school or any activities that you have to do?
Right.
How are you feeling as soon as you wake up? And with that, also ask yourself what's taking up the most of your headspace. What have you been thinking about? Is it work? Is it family? Is it what you're going to do for dinner? Are you living in the future, just thinking about things that could be happening, but then you have no control over?
Right.
Or are you using your headspace for things in a mindful way for things that are going on right now in your life?
Right.
And that doesn't mean don't make plans, but if you're only thinking about the future,
right,
it might be a little bit trickier to even identify what you might be struggling with.
Right. Yeah, because you're overlooking it, and yeah, and that's a tough one because so many things demand our attention, and we do need to plan ahead. But sort of balancing that with not abandoning yourself now in favor of you later.
Yes.
Right? Like holding it all, like thinking of, okay, right now I'm feeling this. I have to pick my kids up at school later. My in-laws are coming on the weekend. Just being able to hold it all and not forget where you are now.
Absolutely, not forget where you are now. That's a very important message. And connecting physical health with mental health, ask yourself, when did I last eat a whole meal? Something that is really nutritious. Nutrition is important, and low appetite can also be, for example, a sign of depression or other mental health concerns.
Sure.
So if you haven't been able to even feel hungry, or if you feel hungry when you're getting ready to eat, you just lose your appetite, what is that signaling? Right? And that can be so many things, but it's just one more thing for you to ask yourself, like, When was the last time I ate a whole meal?
Right. I'm thinking of parents in this especially, right? Who are, eating leftovers over the sink or running here and there with their kids. Like, this is a big one that I think can get forgotten pretty easily, where it's like living on coffee.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, having a good meal in you is not understated. It's very important.
And part of eating the whole meal, I'm thinking, no, it's not just what you're eating, but like you said, are you running around with a coffee in your hand, a sandwich in your other hand, or are you taking the time to sit,
nourish yourself,
think about what you're eating, not just eating to have enough calories for the day?
Right. It's not going to the gas tank, pump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But eating in order to feel good and being mindful of what you're eating. Are you taking your time to eat, or do you give yourself 4 minutes to eat your dinner? Right. And
true.
Another one. Am I tired? We just said you wake up. Are you feeling well rested, or are you feeling you sleep, but then you wake up and you're still feeling tired? How is that during the day? What's your level of energy compared to what used to be before? If you think there's a difference, how tired are you right now, and for how long?
Right.
When does it go away? What makes it better or worse? Is it when you have an argument with someone? Is it related to what you're eating? Just try to investigate that a little bit to know what might be impacting your level of energy.
Right.
And also, if this is like, yes, I am tired, and it's what some people call the TAAT, tired all the time. And if you ask yourself, am I TAAT? And like, yes, I am, then maybe you have to clear your evening plans and make sleep your priority.
Yeah.
And just take some time to do nothing.
Yeah. It's really important to refill the tank. You can't just keep going, and you're gonna run out at some point.
Yes, listen to your body.
That's right.
And the last one, which I find one of the most important one of these questions to ask yourself is, what will I engage in today that will bring me joy? What can I do today that's gonna make this or my well-being, impact my well-being a little bit, even if just a little bit, in a positive way? Just having something in your day that you have control over that's going to bring you joy.
I love that.
And
it's nice to put the intention out there, because thinking of that, it may help manifest that you're going to do it, or it puts it on the mind when maybe it wouldn't be. It
becomes part of your plans for the day.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to call a friend today. I am going to go for a walk. I'm going to spend some time with my dog. I'm going to take 30 minutes to do absolutely nothing by myself.
Right.
It could be anything, right? But just starting our day with a plan to find something.
Yeah.
Already plan for something, and then you have the whole day to see when you can do it during the day, but just knowing that you have that small part there of joy.
Yeah.
That you get to it at some point during the day.
Yeah. I heard recently a recommendation too for something to check in at the end of the day. I love this as a starting place. At the end of the day, I heard a recommendation recently to write down, if you journal, 3 things you accomplished that day and 1 thing that made you happy or brought you joy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and so it can be, the things you accomplished. It could be like, I brushed my teeth, I took a shower, I made my bed, or it could be like, I finished this huge project, or I got the job I wanted. Like, it could be anything, but it puts you in the mindset, kind of similarly to the thinking patterns question, of starting to notice your accomplishments, and also to notice what did bring you joy in the day. And maybe it's the same thing you intended, but maybe it's like, oh, I saw a really cool bird, or I had an awesome lunch, or whatever it is. But just starting to train yourself to notice those things.
And it's very interesting what you said about training yourself to notice this, because I'm thinking how it could be a little bit challenging when you start like day one to find 3 things
that you accomplished.
I accomplished today.
You're like, I don't know. I just went to work and went home, but it's like, well, you got to work on time.
That's a big deal, yes.
Yeah, you answered all your emails or made yourself lunch. I don't know, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, going back to what you said about thinking what a friend would do or what would you say to a friend. If you asked your friend,
right,
like, what have I accomplished today? Can
right.
you tell me? If you visualize that, it might be easier because if a friend asked you this, it'd be easy to say, you went to work, you're not late, you are a nice person, you have a nice conversation with your coworkers during the day. It'd be easy to tell your friend what they did during the day,
it's so
they accomplished.
Yeah.
So maybe do that exercise as well.
Yeah. And I think what's important, maybe, and I feel like we always talk about this in some capacity, is about separating accomplishments and gratitude from productivity. It doesn't have to mean what 3 things was I productive at today. Like I did these things. You know, it's not about that. It can be that you accomplished, you know, a small habit or you notice the sunset. Like it doesn't have to be sort of like work or task related accomplishments, which I think it can sometimes be seen that way. That it's like, you know, I check these things off my to do list. It's not that. It's just 3 things that you did that were good that day.
Yes, that's a very good point. It doesn't have to be something that you're doing for others necessarily.
No,
at work. Right?
Yeah, but I think, you know, there's a culture of like accomplishments and productivity that's very tied to work, and it's not necessarily the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
I think so.
What should we tackle now?
What do we have?
I have some other questions here.
Okay.
But I know we want to talk about this. So maybe let's go with these questions here first.
And then we can maybe finish with some of these self-compassion resources you got.
Okay. So I have a bunch of questions here. Someone is asking, what do I do if my mental health support is not helpful? So if what I understand is that they're seeing a counselor or a doctor and they feel like it's not helpful. So what can they do? With mental health, just like all health concerns, sometimes, and we talked about this, I think during our first live.
Yep.
Sometimes you find a counselor and it's just not a good match.
Yep. For whatever reason. It doesn't have to be anything specific.
It doesn't mean that your counselor is a bad professional.
Yeah.
It could mean that your counselor has an approach that's not the best fit for your needs.
Yep.
For your style, for your whatever it is that it does not a good match.
Yep. Could be for the things that you want to work on. Maybe the counselor has expertise in a different area. Maybe you're looking for someone with more specific information.
Yes, and it could be something about you not liking something about that person. That could happen too, and that's okay.
It's totally fine. Yep. It doesn't hurt our feelings at all.
It doesn't hurt it will not hurt your counselor's feelings if you tell them, for example, you remind me of a former friend that I had, and I don't like that person for some reason. Yep. And when I look at you, it reminds me of this person, and I don't feel comfortable.
Yep. It could be things too related to age, right? Having a counselor who's much older than you or younger than you, maybe that's uncomfortable. It could be based on their gender as well. Maybe you feel more comfortable talking with someone of the same gender or the opposite. It really depends, and that fit is so important because the relationship, what we call the therapeutic alliance, right, making a good relationship between the counselor and the client is really the only way this really works, I think, is having that trust.
Yes, and when you don't have that, it's the best route to go is addressing that with your counselor. Yes. And also reminding yourself that because you're not having a good connection, something's not working with this person, it does not mean that your challenges cannot be resolved.
No.
It's not about you being like, oh, there's no help for me.
Yeah.
There's no helping me. No one can fix this.
That's right.
Because it's you doing the work. You just need to find someone that will be a good match.
Absolutely.
or maybe also the same with doctors. Like you need to have that good connection with someone who's helping you deal with such personal things. So if that connection doesn't work, how is that going to help?
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, especially in New Brunswick, with the situation regarding family doctors. It's really hard to switch doctors. It's possible, but that's harder. And so with a counselor and if it's a therapist or something, definitely talk to them. Definitely find a referral. You could see somebody else within the agency or outside the agency, and it's totally fine. It really happens often. Not often, but it happens with some regularity. So it wouldn't surprise us or anyone. But with your doctor, really, and maybe you can work with your counselor on how to advocate for yourself if things aren't going well. If you feel like your medication isn't working, you want to renew something, you want to discuss alternative options, maybe you don't want to be on medication. Like there's lots of nuance to that relationship too, and if you aren't able to find a new doctor, how do you work within that?
Yeah.
To hone in on like what's not working and kind of um, what you need. And one solution that I've recommended for folks is to write things down ahead of their appointment, of their concerns, what they're hoping for, what their questions are, because sometimes in those medical appointments, um, for mental health, it can be quick. Like it's a really quick appointment, and sometimes people come out of it and they think, "Oh my God, I didn't even ask what I wanted to ask, or I didn't get clarity on something." And so sometimes to have a note form, especially for phone appointments or telehealth, it can really help to make sure that you communicate what you need to.
Make sure that you use that opportunity to
Get
give
your
them
needs
all.
met.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Another question that we have here is, can you prevent mental health problems?
Hmm. What do you think?
I don't think you can prevent because we're all, it can hit all of us.
Yeah.
At some point in life. You can have a mental health challenge, but what we can do is like protecting ourselves by developing our well-being.
That's right.
Our resilience, and the most important one is seeking help early.
That's the best thing. If it happens, yeah, you can prevent things from worsening or getting more severe. But I think of it similar to, you hate to talk about cancer, but imagine, right? It's like, can you prevent it? Well, not necessarily if it's in your family bloodline, if there's, just some genetic thing that happens. We can't always prevent that, but you can do good things like not smoking, taking care of yourself, and to increase your chances of staying healthy. And if you do get sick, of having a better recovery.
Yes, yes. So with mental health, it's the same. You can, like, exactly what you said. If you seek help early, you can help prevent the challenges from becoming more serious.
That's right.
So addressing those concerns as early as you can, as soon as you identify them.
Yeah.
And we can't really prevent it from happening because so many things are out of our control.
Yeah.
Something might happen in your life that's going to impact you real
That's right.
hard.
Yeah.
I know we're all tired of talking about it, but the pandemic,
Yeah.
we have no control over it. It's
That's
there.
true.
It's affecting everyone, and that's a very big challenge that everyone is facing now.
Exactly. And no matter what you do, things can come up, right? It could be an underlying condition. It could be postpartum. Like there's lots of situations that things come up that we don't expect, and I think it's really about giving yourself the best chance um, if and when it does happen. And honestly, with regards to mental health, it's like I think most people are affected at some point.
Yeah.
Even if it's not something sort of clinical or chemical, it can be like stress or post traumatic stress or a phobia. Like a lot of people deal with this, and you're right. I think you can't say, oh well, I took my vitamin and I'm never going to get a mental health issue. It's just not the case. But giving yourself kind of a fighting chance by keeping yourself balanced in the ways that you can by eating right, sleeping,
Yes.
exercise, social support, those kind of things.
Doing your self care routine, whatever that means,
Yep.
whatever gives you the pleasure and the peace, listening to your body, going back to the eating a whole meal, sleeping well, communicating with people you love. Just it's all things that you can do that will create a very supportive system around you.
Absolutely. And one thing, sort of, I guess, that could be good to know is if there is mental illness or mental health issues in your family, to let your doctor know about that early on, just so they can have an idea of it as well. Because sometimes things are genetic and they can be passed down, and having your doctor know about that, it may help catch things earlier too.
Yes, and I think also that's a very good point, Jocelyn, because if you have something in your family that can be a factor for you as well, I would imagine it would give you a little bit of comfort that it's not you who's creating that for yourself.
Yeah.
And just knowing where it might be coming from might empower you in a way that I'm going to control now.
Exactly.
I know where it's coming from. It's not just me being this or that.
No, yeah. Exactly.
Awesome. And what do I do if I'm worried about my mental health? So we talked about can you prevent? How do you identify it? And then if you're worried about it, what do you do?
Well,
how would you start?
How would I start if I'm worried about it? I think I would. Well, there's lots of approaches. It depends on sort of what makes you feel most comfortable. One approach would be if you're feeling like maybe something's going on that I'm not sure of what it could be. If that's the concern, like I feel like something's off. Sometimes we hear that a lot. There's a good resource, and I'll actually post it on our social media. Maybe later today, maybe next week. It's called Check Up from the Neck Up. Do you know this?
No.
So I think it's based out of Ontario. I don't know if it's federal or provincial, but it's basically a screening tool for people to use for themselves. And it's a series of questions that cover a lot of mental health concerns. And it's basically what it is like going to the doctor for a checkup, but it's from the neck up, so it's about your mental health. So it asks you a couple of questions about, do you experience this, and then it gives you not a diagnosis, right? But an idea of saying, it looks like maybe there's some symptoms of anxiety or some symptoms of this, and it's just a gentle way of checking in with yourself about what's going on, and then you can have that information to talk to someone about if you choose to. So that's one approach if you love information and facts and research. Some people do. That's a
very good piece of information.
Yeah.
Another approach that I'm thinking is to talk to someone you trust.
Right.
If you're worried about your mental health, it doesn't matter. This might be your friend, a colleague, a family member, your family doctor, anyone that you trust. And also, like you said, in addition to that, finding information.
Yeah.
These things may help you get some perspective on what you're experiencing, because if you're struggling with your mental health, it might be challenging and even overwhelming to think, what is this that I'm experiencing?
Right.
Am I sad? Am I depressed? And is this just
Is it situational?
Situational.
Do other people feel this way too? And that's why I really like the assessment tool that I mentioned, because what can sometimes make things worse is just doing a broad Google search of some symptoms that you're experiencing. Because as we've talked about, I think before, and I certainly talk with my clients about this a lot, is that mental health symptoms can be really vague, very subjective, and really hard to nail down. So to say, to Google something, maybe you would come up with a diagnosis or something that isn't accurate. And so there can be some self-diagnosing that can be stressful. I've seen clients do this with like, oh my gosh, what if I have this? And then, we don't know. So a screening tool is maybe a bit more gentle, because it allows you to just answer the specific questions and not sort of go down the rabbit hole of Google, which is usually not that helpful.
Usually not.
Yeah.
Usually not.
Yeah.
And we're talking about what should I do if I'm worried about my mental health, or maybe what should I do if I'm worried about a friend or a relative? How to approach that? How to help that person? And that might depend. How's your relationship with them?
Yeah.
How's your level of communication with them? So I would suggest is just to gently encouraging them to seek appropriate support would be a helpful way to start. Yeah. But never in a demanding way or telling them what to do. No. Just offering your support in a non-judgmental way. Just Absolutely. Being there for them, just listening and maybe suggesting. And if the person's having a hard time with that and is open to receiving that help from you, maybe find some resources. Share some resources. Yeah. Tell them, even offering, would you like me to call and book an appointment? Because sometimes it's hard to take that first step. I'll drive you there and meet you after. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Just offering your support in a way that you're not telling them what to do. Just being like, if you need me, I can help you with that. Yeah, and I think it might feel validating for folks who maybe are already worried about their mental health but don't know what to say, to have a friend go, listen, I really care about you, and I've actually noticed in the last little while, I don't feel like you're quite yourself. I'm noticing this, like, what's going on? And maybe that person will say, thank you for noticing, like, yes, I don't feel myself right now. So it may not be a surprise to them. It may be very validating to say, here's what I'm noticing, and I'm concerned. Yes. I think that would, it may be a hard conversation or it may not. Yeah. You just have to come with the best of intentions. These conversations are not always the easiest ones. Yeah. But that's a very good approach to avoid any feelings of, judgment or invalidation. Just offering your support and just being there for them. Yeah, I think so. And the last one is, how do I know if I'm unwell? So it's very similar to how do I know if my mental health is good. So just keep in mind that your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings or behaviors have a significant impact on your ability to function in what might be considered a normal or ordinary way. Yeah. And it would be important to seek help. So think about what's going on in your life. How's your thought pattern? Are you feeling more negative than usual? Yeah. Are people around you telling you or reacting in a way that's showing you that you might be behaving communicating in a different way that's not your usual self? Right, right. Your feelings. Are you usually a more happy person, full of energy, and now you're feeling a little bit, not feeling like yourself, whatever feeling like yourself means to you. And your behaviors. For example, I used to exercise 4 times a week. I haven't exercised at all in the last 4 months. What does that tell you? Right. I used to meal prep every weekend. Now I'm grabbing a coffee on the way to work and eating a sandwich while I'm walking. Yeah. What does that tell you? Yeah. Are you doing that because it's giving you more happiness and more pleasure? Are you happy with those changes? Or are those changes impacting you in a way that's not the best? Right. So just keeping that in mind. Good point. Just what is it that's affecting you? How is it affecting you? If it's affecting you in a negative way, it might be a sign that something else might be going on. Right. And that it might be time to seek help or guidance. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great one. And not to hold yourself. I really like that approach because it's not saying, how do I compare to other people? It's how do you compare to the sort of baseline version of you? Yes. Because to compare to everyone, it's like, we don't know what's going on with everybody, first of all. And what's normal? I mean, that word is so damaging, right? Yeah. Like, this is not normal. This is not healthy. It's really about how you feel most comfortable and how you feel most stable. And if that's out of balance for you, whatever that looks like, then that's something to note. Yes. Right? It doesn't have to be, am I acting like this person or, Yes. That's a very good point. Comparison is the thief of joy. Yes, it is. And it's not accurate because what do they say? It's like you compare your practice to other people's highlight reel. Like you only see like 10% of somebody's life, maybe not even. Yeah. And you know all the inner workings. So to compare yourself to someone, they may have depression and you have no idea. So it's more helpful to compare yourself to you and to get feedback from people. You can ask someone and say like, do I seem off to you? Like I feel weird, like what's going on? And
and see what they say.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
If you have someone you trust that knows you well,
yeah,
just asking that person and giving them space to communicate that.
Yeah.
Just being open to it, and just because if they know you well, they also know how you usually behave.
Yeah.
What's your level of energy and engagement in a conversation? And they might be able to tell you, yes, actually, I do think something is different.
Yeah.
And offer you some insight as well.
Yeah, that is nice. Trust the people around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But don't compare yourself to others.
That's the message of the day.
Yes, and it reminds me again, we always talk about this, the social media, like you said, you never know what other people are going through.
Yeah.
If you go on their social media and you see all those happy pictures and nice places, and then you think, well, but I've been crying for the last 3 days,
Right.
and look at this person. No one's going to post a picture of themselves while they're feeling bad, or when they're having a meal that's not, it doesn't look the best. If they're having just like a sad
bad
sandwich,
hair day,
bad
or
hair.
yeah, sad sandwich. Yeah, exactly.
They're not
Who's
going to
gonna
do
show
that. So it's only the highlights. It's only the very good stuff that's out there. So really don't compare yourself, because that's only the tip of the iceberg. You have no idea what's going on.
No, exactly. And if you knew, I'm sure they would just laugh and be like, "Oh my god, you have no idea." You know.
Yeah.
I think everyone's a little bit of a mess sometimes, and that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone is struggling with something we don't know anything about.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely true.
Well, this is it for my questions here.
Yeah, I think that's it for us.
Yes, we're getting to the end of our live. I hope everyone had a good time.
Yeah.
Please keep sending questions. We love receiving those questions. We love answering to those questions. And we'll post the information about the golf tournament on our social media. So stay tuned. Check it out later today. It's August 20th. Prepare yourself for that. It's going to be a fun day.
It's going to be great. Yes. We'll really look forward to seeing you next month. And yeah, stay tuned to our Facebook here. If you don't follow us on Instagram, check it out as well. And we'll see you next month.
Yes, I'd like to just finish with a self-compassion mantra,
Please.
because it's Friday,
Oh, yeah.
The weather's maybe not the best day, but it'll get better. So this is self-compassion mantra. So just put your hands on your heart and say to yourself, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be loved. And that's the message for today.
Yeah, I love that.
Hope everyone has a good weekend, good long weekend. Enjoy yourself out there. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people you love, and enjoy life.
Yes, absolutely. We'll see you soon.